Okay, great. It's 10 o'clock. Looks like we have a good crowd here this morning. Welcome to 15 Easy Ways to Drive More Customers to Your Business. This webinar is being presented by Mike Samaze, who is a SCORE workshop presenter and owner of Customer Journey Pros, a digital marketing agency in Chester Springs, PA. I'd like to thank you, Mike, for sharing this important information and trust all of our viewers will find it informative and helpful. My name is Leslie Swope. I am a volunteer with SCORE of Chester and Delaware counties. SCORE is a nonprofit organization that has been in existence for over 50 years and is a resource partner of the SBA. SCORE's mission is to foster a small business community by providing free mentorship and business education. We are here to support you and help you grow your business. Here in Chester and Delaware counties, there are 100 volunteers ready to help. Our mentoring and most of our educational programs, such as this, are free. You will find many tools, templates, and other business resources on our website resource library. I encourage you to go there. There's a lot of great information. This is a recorded webinar and will be available to you after today's session. You've all been placed on mute to avoid any distractions. Mike will address your questions in the Q&A box during and after today's presentation, and he has built in specific time for questions. Please use the Q&A box for questions and the chat if you wish to share a comment or resource to share. Now let me introduce Mike. Mike Samaze presents workshops to SCORE clients and owns Customer Journey Pros, a digital marketing agency in Chester Springs, PA. Mike specializes in Google advertising, website development, copywriting, and general marketing support to small businesses and nonprofits. Mike, I'll turn it over to you.
Terrific. Thanks. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today. And as Leslie said, my name is Mike Samaze. And today I'm going to be sharing with you about an assortment of tips for small businesses that may on the surface seem a little bit diverse, but in actuality, there's a couple of common themes. One of which is over the years that I've been working with small businesses, these are things that typically when I tell a small business owner, they say, wow, I had no idea I was supposed to be doing this. And I am so glad that you enlightened me. And the other theme is these are all things that are either going to help you in some fashion or another. They're either going to help you get found on Google. They're going to help you get more clicks, hopefully drive more business. To sum it up, really, these are all things that you as a small business owner really should be doing. So anyway, with all that said, let's jump right in. I'm actually going to stop the video, so make that give you guys more space. Hopefully that made it disappear. All right, as I said, let's move in. Why is the slide not advancing? Here we go. Not sure what the holdup was. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is your Google business profile. Now, I know there's separate webinars exclusively on topics like this, but I just want to touch upon a few tips that, again, I find business owners don't typically know about. So your Google business profile, of course, used to be called Google My Business, but Google changed the name. And I'm going to assume that everybody here on the call today has a business profile. If you don't, you absolutely need to get one. They're free, they're easy to get, but I'm not going to get into the setup process. Again, I'm going to assume that you have one. Just so we're on the same page, your Google profile, your business profile is what pops up when somebody actually Googles your business by name, not your services that you provide. So if you're a tax accountant, or if you're into home remodeling, or you're a plumber or painter or whatever you happen to be, that's not when this will pop up. It's only when someone searches your company by name. And in this example here to the right, I did a search for Equine Exchange. It is a terrific horse supply store, otherwise known as a tack shop here in the area in Pottstown. But when I Google them, sure enough, their business listing comes up. So most businesses that I talk to, again, have a profile, but they're not giving it enough love, and they don't realize just how important that is to get found in the search results. And there's a lot of benefits to doing that, but one of which is people are going to read your reviews. This is where if somebody recommends your company, let's say, to a friend or a colleague, and sure enough, that person looks you up on Google, this is what's going to pop up. And one of the first things they're going to do is they're going to read your reviews, right? As you can see here. And so it's important to have a lot of reviews and positive reviews, because again, that's going to send a great buying signal or a great signal to prospective customers. So the first thing I want to emphasize is get as many reviews as you can. And I know you guys probably already know this, but you got to make a concerted effort to get many, many more reviews, regardless how many you currently have. So we've all done searches, and then this is what appears at the top. This is called the map pack. You get the local map, and then you get the businesses over to the sides. And I don't care what you're searching for, if it's pest control or chimney sweeping, it doesn't matter. I'm willing to bet that if you do this on Google, the businesses that show up next to the map, you're going to find have a lot of reviews. And this is consistently the case, because having a lot of reviews is a major ranking factor for Google. Okay, so just know that. And by the way, that map pack, as it's called, accounts for 44% of the clicks in search engine results. Think about that. Almost 50% of the clicks just come from that one area alone. So your mission is to do what you can to try to be in that game, right? In that piece of real estate. Now, conversely, when I did this sample search, I went way down on the search results to see, who was not showing up very well. And I plucked a company, and when I checked, sure enough, they only have 2 reviews. So there's definitely a cause and effect here. So I'm not going to suggest for a second that if you get a lot of reviews, you're suddenly going to be jettisoned to the top of Google's search results. However, it absolutely will help, and that is really something that you need to work on. So the obvious question is, well, how do I get more reviews? And Google makes it really easy for you. So all you need to do is go to Google, put in your own company's name, and assuming you have a business profile, you're going to get this dashboard that I'm assuming you've all seen before, because again, you have a profile. And all you need to do is click read reviews, and then the reviews come up, and as you can see in the bottom left, just click that blue button in the corner that a lot of people don't pick up on, and it says get more reviews. And when you do that, you will actually get a link that you can send out to customers every time a transaction's done with. And so once an order is complete, you send them that link and ask for a Google review, and that alone could be a huge help. What I recommend is developing a standard email template. Okay, so you just write it once and use it a zillion times. Simply create an email that says, thank you for doing business with XYZ company. It was a pleasure to have you as a customer. Like all small businesses, we rely on reviews. And if you'd be so kind as to leave us a review, here's a link. And that link takes them right to your Google Business Profile review. Makes it super easy. So that's a tip in itself, because a lot of people are not aware that this link even exists. Now, if you want to take it up a notch, I just learned this, believe it or not, a few weeks ago. I think it is totally cool. The idea of taking that link and turning it into a QR code that you can print on a card and then leave it behind with customers. So sounds a little techie, but it actually is really easy to do. But the point is that if you're in any type of business or service, or excuse me, a service business where you're actually meeting with customers, right? So let's say you're a chimney sweep, plumber, or in my case, I have a couple of customers who actually make custom furniture. So when they deliver the furniture, the finished piece to the customer, I'm going to recommend that they print up these cards and leave them behind. And again, making it really easy to leave a review. And the reason being is that I hear from customers, my companies, time and again, that their customers always promise to leave a review. Oh, you guys were great. I'm going to leave you a Google review. But you know what? It never happens, only because they get distracted, life gets in the way, it falls off their radar. But by leaving them a card, it serves as a constant reminder, right? So they can leave, if it stays on their desk, or if it sits there on their kitchen counter, they're going to remember like, oh, I owe this company a review. And all they got to do is tap that QR code with their phone, and it takes them right to the review. It is so cool. Now, what you do is you take your link that I just showed you on the previous slide, and you go to a QR code generator. One that I used is called QR Code Monkey, easy to remember. And sure enough, it will convert that link into a QR code. And then you can print up some cards. Guys, I just printed up some cards. I just, in fact, received them yesterday. I didn't have time to embed them, incorporate them into this presentation, but I have some full color cards that really came out great that I just did for a customer. And now I'm going to convince a bunch of other customers to do the same. If you have any interest in seeing a picture of what this my card looks like, email me after the presentation. I'd be happy to send you a real cool photo that shows just how these cards came out. But anyway, you get the idea. But again, it's a way to remind people after the sale. And you could conceivably, if you're selling products online, you could conceivably drop this in, with every package, every delivery. So there's no reason you couldn't do that as well. But anyway, I just learned about this about a month ago. I thought this is a cool idea that I got to share with people, including my customers. Okay, here's something that I see time and again. Like, everybody gets reviews, right? But what I see more times than not is that business owners are not responding to those customers. They're not acknowledging the reviews. So it's really important that you respond to each and every review that you get on Google. And you want to do this for, believe it or not, 3 reasons. One, Google looks very highly upon it. So one little blanket rule with your Google business profile: the more activity you have, whether it's getting reviews or doing anything, posting things, Google loves that stuff. And that will really demonstrate that you are an engaged business owner, and it will absolutely help you in the rankings. 2, the other reason you want to do it, it's frankly the right thing to do. If someone takes the time to give you a really nice, thoughtful review, I mean, after all, it's just a polite thing to do to thank them. So, for that reason alone, it's worth doing. But the third reason is prospective customers who check out your reviews are not only going to see your reviews, but they will also see how you responded. And they'll say, oh, wow, this guy seems like a great guy, or this woman seems, someone I want to deal with. So it sends a really nice signal to prospective customers as well. Now, the other thing is, you need to need to respond to both positive and negative reviews. Pardon me, I just took a drink. But a lot of people, in the unlikely scenario that you get a negative review, and believe me, I've seen them with some of my customers, you absolutely need to acknowledge it in some fashion. But my recommendation is just keep it professional, keep it short, and just say, sorry, your experience didn't meet your expectations. I'd love to talk to you about it. Please reach out to me offline, or something to that degree. Keep it, very generic. The thing that you don't want to do is get into a back and forth argument with a person that says, no, you ordered walnut, you did not order mahogany. And that'd be the worst thing in the world, is to start going back and forth with a customer on your Google business profile. So, but again, the big takeaway here is make sure you respond to every review, and that's really going to send a great message. Okay, now this is going to be a little tricky, but bear with me because it's worth it. So if at all possible, you want to try to incorporate your targeted keywords in the review. Okay, so let me break this down for you. First of all, what is a targeted keyword, or a keyword? A keyword are essentially the services that your business offers. Okay, so it's not the name of your company, it's what you do. So let's say you're a tax accountant, maybe you do corporate accounting, you do individual tax accountants or tax accounting, or maybe in the case of a chimney sweep, you're not only a chimney sweep, but you do chimney repair as well. Okay, so all of those services, those are keywords. And so you need to communicate to Google what it is you do. So where this ties in with reviews is, if at all possible, put your keywords in the review, or have the customer do it. So I'll give you an example. If someone leaves a review that says, Ed and his team did a great job working on my house, I highly recommend the company, and I give them 5 stars. There's nothing wrong with that. You just got yourself a 5-star review. Congratulations. However, if you're able to get that customer to say, Ed and his team did a great job with their stucco remediation on my house, and I highly recommend them, you just hit a grand slam, because they incorporated stucco remediation, just as we see here in this example. This is a company up in the Collegeville area. And if anybody in this area types in stucco remediation, Google says, oh, I know a company in Collegeville that does this, right? So you're helping Google understand what it is that you do, okay? And so the obvious question is, how do you do this? One thing you don't want to do, pardon me, I got to take a quick drink. The one thing you don't want to do is email them with that information to say, oh, here's a link to my Google profile. Oh, and by the way, can you make sure that you say stucco remediation? Believe it or not, I don't want to get into it, but our big brother friends at Google often pick up on that, and your review will never show up. Trust me on that. So this is something that you need to do verbally, whether you have the customer on the phone, or if you're in the kind of business where you see them face to face, you can talk to them and just say, hey, say whatever you want on the review, but the only thing I ask, can you just use the 2 words stucco remediation? That's a way to get around it. Hopefully this makes sense, but believe it or not, this is a big SEO factor. And SEO, by the way, is search engine optimization, meaning the things that help get you found online. Okay, one more Google business tip, and then we'll take a quick break. Lots of photos, and the more photos that you can add, the better. Google loves it. Again, activity on your Google business profile demonstrates to Google that you're an engaged owner. This is an example of Butterscotch Pastry Shop. For those of you in Chester County, I highly recommend them. They are outstanding. It's a great place to hang. But the point is that they have a ton of pictures, both uploaded by customers as well as uploaded by the owner. And that's the kind of thing that will absolutely get you ranked. So takeaway in general is, when it comes to your Google business profile, the more activity, the better. So lots of reviews, lots of pictures, thank people, try to get those keywords into the reviews. Those are all tips that will absolutely help your business. So I'm going to take a quick break because I'm looking in the chat and I see a number of things. Hopefully those are questions and not complaints. Leslie?
We had some comments. One, somebody was hearing an echo, but I think he might be the only person, and as no one else responded to that. The other was, yes, you will receive this recorded webinar following this webinar. So most of the other chats were people just saying hello. So anybody have questions at this time? Please put them in the Q&A.
Okay.
Here's a question.
Okay.
Would love to hear more about how to respond to negative reviews.
Yeah, again, the short answer is just keep it diplomatic. I had a customer he was a restaurant owner in Wilmington, and he had a negative review, and he was just loaded for bear. He told me, he said, that's not what happened, and I'm gonna straighten her out. I said, buddy, don't do that, please. I beg you, it's the wrong thing to do. Finally talked him off the ledge. No, when it comes to negative reviews, just keep it simple. Again, a diplomatic line of, I am so sorry to hear that your experience was not what you expected. We absolutely strive to provide the highest level of service and products for all of our customers, and I'd love to hear more about how we can make this right. Please contact me offline, and I'd be happy to discuss this with you. I mean, anything on those lines, just a diplomatic, take the high road, don't get down into the dirt, and again, start getting into an argument that, well, no, I never promised the delivery on this date. And that would just spiral into a mess.
A couple other things have come up. What happens when you don't have a physical location?
You need a physical location to get a Google business profile, because the way it works is Google wants to actually confirm that. So in other words, just to be clear, I'm going to assume you're going to have some location. So as an example, my company, Customer Journey Pros, I'm in Chester Springs, and we work out of our home, my wife and I. And so that's our location. Now, I don't have that address listed on my Google business profile, at least my street address. And but when it comes to setting up your profile, in requesting it from Google, Google sends you literally a postcard to verify as their way of confirming that you are in fact at that location. I'm going to turn the video back on just temporarily. So yeah, you got to have some location. But again, so I don't have the type of storefront that people come to, and I don't have customers come here. It's not that type of business. We're a low overhead agency just working out of our home. So, but I have a location, right? I'm here at our house in Chester Springs. So I don't know if that helps. I mean, you got to have something to tell Google, because again, they're going to send a postcard, but you don't have to have the kind of location that people actually go to, if that makes sense.
Okay, you got lots of new questions here. Do you recommend offering incentives for review? Example, leave a review for a chance to win a gift card.
No. So you may want to, no, the short answer is no. Believe it or not, and again, I know this sounds like a conspiracy theory, but Google is real hip to leading the witness, so to speak. So in other words, I've been burned, frankly, because I've sent emails out in my earlier days where I would say like, hey, could you leave me a review and tell them, how great I did with your Google ads, or how much you like the website we built for you, that type of thing. Google picks up on that, and it won't, and believe it or not, the review will not show up. And I've had numerous customers call me with similar complaints, and I explained to them, I said, tell me what your email said. And, sure enough, they, in some fashion, were telling the person what to say, and you certainly don't want to do that. So the bottom line is, the idea of maybe if you did it verbally, you get away with it to say, hey, if you leave me a review, we'll put you in a drawing for an Amazon gift card. Keep it off writing. Keep it, there's no paper trail. But it's still a little coercive. I would steer away from it. I would just, get a review on your own merits, right? Hopefully you did a good job. Hopefully they enjoyed dealing with you. Hopefully you not only met their expectations, but exceeded them. And if you do those things, you're going to get really genuine, heartfelt reviews.
Okay. Lots more questions here. Please let us know if we have more reviews, it works at SEO for us on Google or not.
Oh, 100%. If I heard you right, the more reviews, the better it's going to help you. That is a major ranking factor. I'll give you a quick tip. There's a YouTube guy that I follow, and the YouTube channel is called Ranking Academy. He's made for small businesses. He talks about this very thing, things about your Google profile. He comes out with videos about every other week. They're fantastic. If this guy, Luke. And anyway, the bottom line is, write that down, Ranking Academy on YouTube. If you want to learn more about Google My Business, which is now Google Business Profile, he's got all sorts of tips. But I'll tell you, my guy, Luke, will be the first one to say that the more reviews you have, absolutely is going to help put you to the top of the rankings.
Okay. What site did you use to create your cards?
That's kind of a personal, that's a good question, but that's something, actually a service that I now provide. And I have a printer who's doing it. And if you want cards, you can reach out to me and we can talk about it. But that's kind of my secret sauce, if you will.
Okay.
I'll gladly print them for you.
There was a question about, does a virtual address work? I think that was based on a previous question, and someone suggested I don't have a physical location, but was able to hide my address from public when I set up mine.
Exactly.
How do you have them map your location when it's your home? I don't want that listed. How do you avoid this?
You'll just need it initially for Google to send the postcard, but then again, I don't have my street address. I have my town because I think it's important. People want to know, are they dealing with somebody in, is this a company that's in Wilmington or is this in Chester Springs, right? If they live in the Exton area, say. So it's important, I think, to have the town, but for obvious reasons, you don't want people just randomly showing up at your home. So you can absolutely not include your street address.
Okay, is there a cost to Google Business Profile?
Nope, zero, free. You got to have one. It's simple to set up and they're completely free.
Okay, let me just see here, because there were some. Here, my business is a dance studio and we have classes at certain times, but I'll be answering phone calls for a longer period of time every day. I'm not sure what hours to put on my Google profile with that in mind. My phone hours or my physical location hours.
If people tend to show up, if you're again, I have a furniture store in Exton that I work with. And in that case, you certainly don't want people showing up when you're closed. So if people tend to show up to your dance studio, I would make sure you have your physical hours, not when you pick up the phone. But yeah, there's because the worst thing, if someone drove 20 minutes and then lo and behold, the door is locked, that's a turnoff. So I would put more emphasis on your physical hours than when you pick up the phone.
Okay. I offer distance healing. Is there any kind of photos it would make sense for me to post? I wouldn't be sharing a lot about client results.
Well, yeah, another webinar I gave talks about stock photography. I don't want to get too into the weeds with that, but there's a ton of places out there to get photos that you can use for a website and for blog posts, social media posts, and the like. I'll just tick off a few real quick. There's Adobe stock images. There's Big Stock. There's Dreams Time. Just type in stock photography or royalty-free stock photography into Google, and you'll get just a plethora of options. But we use Big Stock Photo and Adobe Photo, which I happen to like. But yeah, you can get all sorts of things that you could use in your website. So why don't we move on? We
okay.
A lot of people on the call. Anything else?
There was just one other one. Does Google appreciate volume, consistency, constancy, or both in terms of leaving, reviewing reviews, posting, updating hours, etc.?
So updating hours and the like, I don't think that counts necessarily. Well, it probably counts as activity. Again, I have some retail stores that they were indicating their hours on Black Friday and stuff like that. As far as the reviews, I think consistency is key. I think just trying to get a good steady drip of reviews, getting a good steady stream of photos that you upload, all of that. Those are all great signals. Google just loves it when business owners are when they're engaged with their business. And so, but really, if you had to sum it up, reviews are king. And anything you can do, whether it's through the cards or through just using that link and sending them out to people. A lot of business owners I look at their profile and they have 5 reviews. And it's like, you've been stuck on 5 from what I can see for the last 2 years. So you gotta, this is just a common theme. So we go to the questions. Can we move on?
Yeah, we're good. If you want to move on. Yep.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Hey, thanks for the super questions. I appreciate all your interest. All right, I'm going to turn off the video again. Okay. Why does it keep locking up when it comes to advancing? Yuck. You might be looking at the screen for, okay. Okay, moving on and away from the world of Google, or not really. Keeping up with the world on the go. Okay, so what do I mean by that? It's no secret, I think all of you know that, believe it or not, there are more searches that are done on mobile devices than on desktops and laptop computers. Okay, that switch happened a number of years ago, but it's indicative of the fact that we as a society are always on the go. We're glued to our phones. We do everything on our phones. And as a result, including searching, and our friends at Google know this, obviously, and they know that everyone's on their phone. And as a result, they really put a lot of emphasis on how quickly your website loads on a mobile device. In fact, they put an emphasis on how quickly your website loads in both cases, desktop and mobile, but more emphasis on mobile. So you as a business owner, you really need to closely monitor your website speed. And this is something that almost without exception, when I talk to business owners, they never do this. They're not familiar with it. So the obvious question is, well, how do I do this? So it's real easy. There's a lot of different ways that you can test the performance of your website, but two of the most popular by far are GTmetrix and another one called PageSpeed Insights. And in both cases, it's really simple. You just put in the URL of your business and they will produce a report that lets you know how your website performed. Hopefully you get a good grade, but if you don't, they will, in both cases, give you a list of all the things that your website is deficient in and the steps that you need to do to correct those things. And in some of the cases, you might be able to do those fixes yourself, or in other cases, you might have to turn to your web person. But just know that the speed of your website is really important. And it's just something that 95% of the time, it is off the radar of small business owners. So write down those two companies that you need to closely monitor this. Okay, I'm just going to go over a few website tips and not get too into the weeds. So a tip to get found online is you really need to dedicate a separate page for each of your services. Okay, and what I mean by that is that I see so many small business websites out there where they slapped a website together and then they have a bullet points of all their services, right? So if they're, let's say, a landscaper, and they say, oh, we do yard cleanup, we do, obviously, maybe they do, obviously cutting grass, lawn cutting and the like, grass cutting. But the point is that they just list them as bullet points. So like our friends over here in this example, you see these bullet points. Sure, it's a tree service and they do, no surprise, tree removal, stump grinding, excuse me, tree trimming, land clearing, and the like. Those are all their services. And those are all together now, those are the keywords, right? We just learned that. And what you want to do is have a separate page, if possible, have a separate page for each of those services, as opposed to stuffing them all on one page. The other thing you want to do is incorporate those keywords into the heading of the page. So in this example, this page just says service you can trust. Well, it's nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't help Google understand what it is you do. And what you need to do instead is, again, break out the services into individual pages and put the keywords into the heading. And on top of that, pepper those keywords into the text of your page. All right, so let me give you a quick example, and this will make a lot more sense. Here is a tree service up in Vermont, and they have all their services broken down into individual pages. And as you can see here, we're clearly looking at the tree removal page. And sure enough, it says tree removal, and that's their heading. And that is a huge signal to Google that, oh, these guys are in the tree removal business. And they even have it in their secondary headline, low impact tree removal experts in Vermont. And again, you got tree removal. And then if you look at their actual text, the body of the page, they've baked it in different variations, that trees that need to be removed, trees removal, we remove trees safely. The point is, that is, my friends, SEO or search engine optimization at its finest. That is getting you found because you've dedicated a page to each of your particular services. So when someone in the Vermont area jumps on Google and says, I need someone to remove a tree, there's a real good chance that Limwalker is going to bubble up, because Google has figured out long ago that, oh, these guys are in the tree removal business. So anyway, that's just a quick tip when it comes to, I have no idea how your websites are set up, but especially if you're just launching your business and you're just creating your website, I highly recommend that you do that, as opposed to what most people do, or not most, but certainly many, where they just list all their businesses. Oh, by the way, we're a dance studio and we have this type of dance. Try to break things out into pages. Or, if you're a massage therapist, maybe there's different types. You want to base it on what people search for, right? Because in the world of tree service, people are searching for stump grinding versus tree removal versus tree trimming. Those are the, again, keywords that that you want to make sure that your website emphasizes. Hopefully that all makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna teach you a new couple of phrases: meta title and meta description. And before you think, oh my gosh, she's getting geeky on us. Well, I am getting geeky on you, but it's important stuff and it's actually really going to help you. So bear with me. It's not that complicated. So Google, every website out there, our friends at Google actually visit your website and they what's called crawl it with spiders and bots. And I know that sounds weird, but they actually, the bottom line is they search every website and every page on your website, and then they save it in their database. And that term is called indexing. So if you have a website currently, just know that Google has already indexed your website in each and every page of your website. So what they do when they index it is they give each and every page a title, a meta title, and they give it a description. And this is what we all see when we do a search of any type of search. So in this example, I did a search for basement waterproofing Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. And look at the top one. The top one's actually a good example, or how to do it right. EverDry basement waterproofing Atlanta, but the description reads really great. We're certified professionals, we offer advanced solutions, we offer free inspections, call today, blah, blah. So that is very consumer oriented. That's a well-written description. The other one below it, not so much. So they relied on Google to just present whatever they wanted. So waterproofing Atlanta for a title, that's not so bad. But when you look at the description, apparently Google just randomly plucked a disclaimer that appeared on this particular page. So it just says, note, at Foundational Works, we prefer to waterproof basements from the exterior. So that's like the worst thing you want. There's nothing salesy about that. There's nothing compelling. So if you were a consumer who had done a search for basement waterproofing, which one are you going to click, right? You're going to skip over Foundation Works to the the one below, because that's just kind of a wacky description. So here's the deal. Most business owners that I talk to have no idea that they can control this. And instead of having Google just randomly present some text that could reflect poorly on your business, it's instead of that, which is the tail wagging the dog, you have power to control this, and nobody seems to know this. So the obvious question is how? Well, the first thing you got to do is find out what Google has on you. So it's simple. Go to Google, type in the word site, right? Just as you see here, SITE, and then put in your company's URL. And when you do that, you're going to get the listing of everything Google has on you. So it's kind of cool. It's a way to have Google kind of cough up the goods and tell you exactly, yeah, this is what I have on this particular company. And so I stuck with this example, Foundation Works. And again, they obviously are letting just Google do their own thing, because when you look at some of these descriptions, they're pretty bad. So if you need basement waterproofing because you're either refinishing or preparing to sell your house, and by the way, the above steps won't work. What above steps? There's no, this again, it was plucked off the page. Or, with the team members, Google is just listing the names, and that's not horrendous, but it wouldn't be better if you said, oh, click here to view a listing of all our valuable team members and the people ready to serve you, or something a little more, consumer oriented. And then this last one just starts off with, you are here. So again, nonsensical. So in the event that you do this little test, and one of two things are going to happen, you might read what Google has and say, yep, looks good to me, and then you're good to go. Or if in the case of something like this, where things are a little bit squirrely, all you need to do, every website platform out there gives you the ability to manage this stuff. And so if you're using Google for your website platform, or Wix, or Squarespace, or WordPress, all of them have different ways to just jump in there and adjust your meta title and meta description. And
Mike,
I'm not going to go through. I beg your pardon?
Sorry to interrupt. Somebody had a question. They just put in site and their name of their company, right?
Nope, you got to put the URL, not the name of your company. and then you got to have a colon,
Okay, so it would be,
SITE colon, and then put in your URL. Got to,
Okay.
HTTP, not the name of your company.
okay,
Trust me, it works. Okay, so what I was saying is, I don't know what website platform your website is built on, but I can tell you that if you just jump on Google and say something like meta description Squarespace, meta description Wix, or whatever, you'll get step-by-step as to how you need to go in there. It's generally very simple. If you do have a WordPress website, there's a super plugin called Yoast, Y-O-A-S-T. It rhymes with toast. And with Yoast, it's a free plugin, by the way. Just add that to your website, and then that makes it super easy to go in there and modify this. So think about how this impacts you. Could be the difference between getting clicks to your website and not. So someone does a search in your area, they find your service, or sure enough, you're listed in the search results. Good for you, that's awesome. But then if that description is not compelling, right? If it's not saying, hey, we've been in business for 30 years, we're experts in tree removal, and call us today for a free estimate. Those are that's the type of salesy, and not salesy, but you know what I mean, compelling, sales-oriented, consumer-oriented, as opposed to just some random gibberish that Google happened to pluck off your page. So anyway, this is a big takeaway. Almost nobody I talk to seems to know about this. And so be aware of your meta titles and meta descriptions. All right, let's, quick plug when it comes to getting found on Google. I mean, let's face it, it's a struggle to bubble up in the search rankings, extremely competitive. But keep in mind, there are Google ads which allow you to hopscotch everybody and just get found at the top of the search results. Here's an example: basement waterproofing in Delaware County. And the top 2 listings, no surprise, are Google ads. These are not my customers, but it just shows that you can get found. Make no mistake, it is advertising. You do need to have an advertising budget to even consider this, but it can be a great way to get leads. And if you want more info, just reach out to me at some point. But something to consider as an absolute way. The other takeaway, many of you guys know this, but Google does not charge to actually show the ad. You only get charged when somebody actually clicks the ad and visits your website, which is, of course, what you want anyway. Okay. For you e-commerce companies out there, so for any of you selling products online, and I don't know to what percentage those of you out there, I heard dance studio and massage therapy, but if you're selling products online, guys, you need to deal with your abandonment issues. And more specifically, you need to deal with your shopping cart abandonment issues. So what do I mean by that? Well, believe it or not, 70% of people abandon their shopping carts. And that's crazy. That's a crazy statistic. That means that 7 out of 10 people who actually added something to their cart end up bailing and never completing the transaction. Now, there's a lot of reasons behind that I'm not going to get into. Often it has to do with shipping, or maybe the checkout process was too complicated. But the simple fact of the matter is at least 70%. And in fact, I've worked with a couple of e-commerce companies in the past and worked on their back-end data, and I have found it's closer to 80%. But regardless, even at 70%, that is a ton of money that's being left on the table that you're missing out on. So you're probably going to tell me that, listen, Mike, I know that every shopping cart platform out there has an abandoned cart email that automatically goes out, which they do. So I don't care if you're using WooCommerce, Shopify, or BigCommerce, or any of the big e-commerce platforms. You're absolutely right. They have emails that get sent out like later that day or the next day to say, hey, you left something in your cart. The problem is those emails are, to be blunt, lame. They're not very inspiring. They're very pedestrian. They're not going to get people's attention. So your mission is to put a little emphasis in coming up with creative shopping cart abandonment emails. And even if you could claw back 10% of that 70% that you're using, that's a lot of money back in your pocket. That's found revenue. So let me show you a couple of quick examples. We have Here's actually the Zoom controls are blocking whatever it says at the top. This is a betting company. Oh, are you still tossing and turning? That's right. That's what it says. I couldn't read it. It's being blocked. But again, here's a betting company. They came out with a cute email that says, oh, are you still tossing and turning? Listen, that's going to get people's attention and, convince a lot of people to come back and finish the purchase. Or here's a women's dress company. And the dress is saying, oh, I'm having abandonment issues. Ha, they stole my joke. Or the button at the bottom where it says, I think this is cute. It's like, oh, it's meant to be, you and I. So, that's clever stuff. Or a makeup company that says, you've been playing hard to get with the makeup in your cart. All things designed to catch people's attention and convince them to head back to the shopping cart. Or Casper mattresses, don't give up on your dreams. So you get the idea. Instead of just relying on Shopify's, out of the box, very boring emails, dedicate a little time to coming up with something clever and eye-catching. And you could be clawing back some business that just simply otherwise would just have fluttered out the door. So again, I know this doesn't apply to many of you on this call, but just for you e-commerce companies, this could be a real easy way to drive a lot of revenue. Guys, we are to our last tip. I'm going to talk about email marketing real quick. So I would suspect that a lot of you are doing email marketing, which is great. It's a great way to keep your company name out in front of people, stay top of mind when they're ready to make a purchase. Probably means that on your website, you have something like this, where you have some sort of sign up where people give their name and their email address, and that's terrific. But I'm willing to bet, as almost everybody I talk to, you are doing what's called batch and blast, meaning that, sure, somebody signs up, you add them to your email database, and then they just start getting the emails going forward, right? So if you send out a monthly email, and here it is December, then sure enough, they're going to get your next email and just kind of start riding the train going forward. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not ideal. What you really want to do is nurture the customer, nurture the relationship, and develop a specific campaign just for newbies, just for the people who have just signed up. Okay, so let me give you an example. Let's say you're in the water purification business, right? You sell water purification systems. They're fairly expensive, right? Hundreds of dollars, and they go into your sink. So the point being is that they're not an impulse buy. We're not talking about just bottles of gourmet olive oil where someone's going to open their wallet and buy it. So let's face it, people need to think about the decision. They need to talk about it with their spouse. It's something they're not going to pull the trigger on right away. So what you need to do as a business owner is to build that relationship. So as soon as they give you their email address, that's the box over, let's say, to the far left. Maybe you send an initial thank you. Hey, thanks for signing up. Glad to have you on board type of thing. But maybe you wait a day and then send them an article on water and just about the importance of testing your water in different ways that you can do that. And then maybe you wait 2 more days and send them another email about, the importance of clean water to both your health and the health of your family, right? And then wait a few more days and send another article and so forth. So notice that you're not selling them. You are giving them helpful information that's helping them in their buying process, to their buying cycle, if you will. And maybe by the 5th or 6th email, that's when you can kind of hit them over the head and say, oh, by the way, are you ready to buy yet? But 90% of the time, you don't want to be selling them. You're just giving them helpful information. But at the same time, you're doing some other things. You're keeping your company name out in front of them, obviously. And on top of that, you are demonstrating to them that you are a leader in your industry, right? So, but the beauty of doing it's a fair amount of work. This is called either a nurturing campaign or a drip campaign, either one. But what you do is you map out this entire customer journey from the get-go. And yes, it's a lot of work up front, but then it's a set it and forget it. It just runs. So everybody who signs up signs up for your emails, they're going to then be dumped into this, and this campaign just runs automatically. They start getting these various drips. So again, the first email might be how to improve the impurity, remove the impurities of your water, not improve them, but how to remove them. or, the dangers of showering with water that has chlorine in it, stuff like that. So you're nurturing that relationship, positioning yourself as a leader. You're not, you recognize that this is a decision that they need to think about, and it's keeping your name and not the name of your competitors out in front of them. So the bottom line, guys, if you're doing email marketing, I don't care whether you're an insurance agent or, pest control, any type of thing. Well, pest control is more, I need you and I need you today. But something that's more of maybe a long-term decision, like if you're trying to convince them to switch from their current insurance agency over, to you, or perhaps if you're a tax accountant or a financial planner, anything like that, where it's not a quick decision, right? Not an emergency plumber. Just nurture that relationship over time, but build this whole path, and it just makes it, again, it's set it and forget it. But don't do what everybody else does with just the basic batch and blast when it comes to emails. Take a more strategic approach, and I assure you it'll pay dividends. Guys, that is it for me. Again, my name is Mike Samays. I'm the owner of Customer Journey Pros, located in Chester Springs. We do Google advertising, affordable website design for small businesses, and overall marketing consulting. Here's my contact information, jot it down. And before I turn it back over to Leslie, I'm seeing 28 in the chat. I don't know if that's people are.
I think we addressed the chat.
Oh, okay. We're all good. So in Q&A, any questions?
Any additional questions?
Okay. Very good. Well, I want to thank you all for your time today. Hopefully you walked away with at least a handful of ideas that you were not aware of previously, things that will help you in your business. Again, don't hesitate to reach out, even if you think of something after the fact, mike@cjpros.com, or you can visit our website or just give me a call directly. And with that, I will turn it back over to Leslie.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mike, for all the great information. And there's lots of engagement, lots of questions. So that's awesome. As a reminder, you'll receive the recorded webinar following the webinar. SCORE is here to help you with next steps on your business plan and challenges. Please reach out to your SCORE mentor for support. You're not alone in this process. If you aren't already working with the SCORE mentor, you can request one by going to our website link shown here. If you have questions about the online process to schedule a mentoring session, you can call our SCORE office administrator, Kat Weissenberger. Next slide. So here is our information. There's where our office is located and her contact information as well, if you want to call or email. So this information will also be included in the follow-up email from SCORE. That's a wrap for us. Please contact SCORE with any questions. Thank you for taking the time to join us, and I hope you all have a great day.